There's a lot of hot
I
people.
know.
Just pick one that doesn't sound like they're currently shitting themselves.
I fully agree.
We're the Vanity Project, an art pop band whose meteoric rise to fame was thwarted by a global pandemic.
And also a consistent lack of interest from the music industry and the general public.
And so instead, we've embarked upon a new mission to become the world's leading authority on UK pop music.
In this show, we'll randomly pick a year between 1965 and now, listen to the full UK Top 100 from that year, and hash out the top 10 best and worst songs.
And just because we're sadistic, we'll challenge each other to cover one of the songs on the best list and one of the songs on the worst list.
Is your Uncle Kev right about pop not being what it used to be?
Or was he too pilled up in his youth to realise that it used to be even shitter?
Let's find out.
We've discussed the best songs of 2021. However, I think we can both agree that on the whole, the top 100 UK hits of 2021 was not the best list I've ever heard.
No. I mean, there was just a lot of boring and that's almost worse than stuff that's egregiously bad.
100%.
So much of it was just like, oh, I don't want to hear another deep house beat. I don't want to hear another fucking Joel Corey song as long as I live.
I have a theory about 2021. Would you like to hear it?
No.
Fuck you, I'm going to tell you anyway. So 2020 ended up, to our surprise, both in pop music, but also actually in general music, being really quite a good year, like a lot of really good releases. And I think everyone was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. There was a pandemic on. There was still some really good music.
It's amazing how they could make all that good music while locked indoors.
What people forget is that there's quite a big lag in music between recording something, writing something, and it actually coming out. And so I believe a lot of the stuff that came out in 2020 was probably too far down the line to not be released, or people had to make a snap decision, they didn't know which way the pandemic were going, and they went, oh, let's just release it. And so we ended up with quite a lot.
Did you call it the panicdemic?
The panic, well, may as well be. Am I right? Doesn't make any sense. Anyway, the point is 2021, everybody entered that year. For starters, nobody really recorded anything in 2020 because everyone was like, I don't know what to do, and you couldn't leave your house. And also, everybody was like, oh, it's going to be over soon. It's going to be over soon. Let's just wait. Let's just wait. And so I think that is why, generally in music as well, because I also think I didn't mind stuff outside of pop that much, but it still wasn't the best year ever. I think there was a general lack of energy, a lack of new ideas. And so really, I think there's a reason a lot of stuff that was a hit this year is old stuff that came out in previous years, because there was just a general lack of good stuff.
But weirdly, a lot of dance music. For a year where...
But dance music, you're right, but you forget that dance music is very easy to produce by yourself in a room.
True.
And also very fucking easy to churn out.
True. Very true. Well, I went first for the best list, so you're going to go first for the worst list. That's how it works.
The other thing I need to preface before I go into my list is that you have made it very clear that you have very strong feelings about your worst list and you absolutely hate it.
I hate all of these.
I'll be honest, pretty much all of these just bore me to tears. I don't really have any strong feelings, so apologies in advance if all of my picks are very boring and not very good content, and I think I'm going to have to lean on your commentary quite a lot in this video, but
I'll do what I can.
I'll do my damnedest. And this guy, I'm popping him on here mainly because I haven't had the chance to put him on a list yet, and I don't like him, and I want to put him on a list, but if I'm being honest, I actually think the songs of his that came out this year are some of the, now pay attention to the wording here, least bad. They're not good, they're the least bad he's put out. Having said that, I still didn't enjoy him, and I really, really don't like him, and he's been such a force for bad in my life that I want to spite him by talking smack about him on a YouTube video that less than 100 people will see.
We all know who it is.
Is Edward Sheeran, and the song that I went with, I was torn, but I went with Shivers.
Ooh, I love it when you do it like that, and when you're close up, give me the shivers. Oh baby, you wanna dance till the sunlight cracks, and when they say the party's over, then we'll bring it right back.
Shivers. Yes, you did. as did I in my number 4 spot. So good pick, because this song blows, which is bad in all the ways Ed Sheeran songs are bad.
Yeah, it's got the beat that sounds like a ringtone.
Yeah, check.
Or more like a sort of a plucky, the kind of alarm that might be called Spring Morning on your iPhone. And you listen to it once, and you think, you know, that's kind of a cheerful thing to wake up to. And by morning 4, you never fucking want to hear it again. You throw your phone into a trash compactor. The lyrics are saccharine nonsense as usual. Really,
lyrics are atrocious.
They're always, Ed Sheeran lyrics are always, what's funny about Ed Sheeran lyrics is he's never really sleazy, particularly. He doesn't like talk about like sleeping with a lot of women or stuff like that. He's usually speaking quite a monogamous relation, like standpoint. And it still comes off quite sleazy somehow.
Oh, he does. I mean, the fact that a song with this beat and this melody is a fucking sex jam is a disgrace. As is the line,
it sounds like
I love it when you do it like that.
Yeah, and it sounds like a fawn creeping around is what it sounds like. It's not a very sexy beat.
No.
To be honest, I was split on putting Shivers on the list and putting Bad Habits on the list. The main crime of Bad Habits was that it was just him trying to be The Weeknd and doing a really bad job of it, and that pissed me off. However, the thing that swung it towards Shivers was a single line, and that sign is, I want to kiss your eyes.
I wanna kiss your eyes.
I missed that one.
And the way he delivers it is so annoying as well. It's like, I want to be that guy. I want to kiss your eyes. And he really slips it in there as if you wouldn't notice. It's like, we noticed, Ed. We noticed you said you wanted to kiss their eyes.
I actually picked a worst lyric from all of my worst songs to talk about. And the one I picked from Shivers was, baby, you burn so hot. You make me shiver with the fire you got.
Baby, you burn so hot. You make me shiver with the fire you got.
Which is the laziest piece of writing I've ever heard. It's the opposite of what Heat does. That's the cold. You're thinking of the cold. The cold is what shivers. You can't bring in the fire metaphor and then just be like, oh, and it's making me shiver, by the way, because that's the name of the song. Oh, fuck you, Ed Sheeran. Apparently the song took him 3 days to write, which in his words is unusually long for him.
I'm glad he's honest about it.
That doesn't shock me.
Yeah.
And
by the way, considering that he self-admittedly writes really fast and doesn't put any effort in, not a very quick release cycle. Like, when was his last full-length record? 2-3 years ago?
Do you count the collab project?
No.
Then 2017.
Also, last word on Sheeran, and then we'll move on. We had Plus.
Yeah.
We had Multiply.
We had Multiply.
We had
Divide.
And now, of course, we have Equals. No! Why haven't we got minus?
Well,
or subtract?
Funny. Shivers is the reason. That is true. When he was making the song, he said it was the first song he'd written for the album, and he said it didn't feel like a minus song. So he was I need a new mathematical sign, and he picked Equals, I guess. Random fucking math signs.
Because also, it's not like maths has any relevance to him at all. It's not like he writes in weird timings. Yeah, it's like, it doesn't make any sense. I really hope he really sticks with it, though, and he ends up with really obscure ones, like square root will be one eventually, or just pi, but it won't be the like symbol. It will be the number, will be the whole album cover. That's quite a good name for an album cover. Don't steal that.
Personally, I can't wait for x equals minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. We could talk about Ed Sheeran for genuinely an hour, but let's try and not.
Yeah.
Now, I agree with you that this year was incredibly boring. However, my top 4 songs, which include Shivers, obviously, I think are all egregiously bad in an appalling way. But I did need something to sum up the sheer monotony of this year. And what better way to do it than with one of the biggest songs of the year, one that I heard buzz about at the end of 2020, and it's still in the charts. It just never went away. And it is surprising for a band that ostensibly were an indie band, who were, especially their second album, How to Be a Human Being, it was well liked by critics, that they released such a drab, miserable song and then had it be a huge hit. But it is, I think at this point, the universally loathed Heat Waves. by Glass Animals.
Road shimmer, wiggling the vision. Heat waves, I'm swimming in the mirror. Road shimmer, wiggling the vision. Heat waves, I'm swimming in the... Sometimes all I think about is you. Late nights in the middle of June. Heat waves been fucking me out. Can't make you happier now.
Oh God, this song. I mean, right from the start with the pitch down vocal sample, the Road shimmer, wiggling the vision, heat waves, I'm swimming in the mirror. That's the first bad sign. It sounds like a shit AJR song or a 21 Pilot song or something. But then, I mean, people have said that 2021 was all about the vibe, and TikTok songs are often about the vibe, and vibe songs can be good. On the one hand, you get Good Days by SZA, which we didn't talk about in the best list because we're heathens and we probably should have done because it's very good.
It is good.
And then on the other hand, you get Heat Waves by Glass Animals, where it's just this one sleepy beat that just runs for like 3.5 minutes and does not change from start to finish. It's just this one boring slog of a song. And I just don't understand what anyone ever saw in this. Never mind, people saw it enough in this song to stream it more than 1 billion times on Spotify.
Wow.
It's got more than 1 billion streams. I did say I got a worse lyric for every song. This one had a lot of competition. Got to give a shout out to I just wish that I could give you that look that's perfectly unsad. But I have to do the award. See, one of just the clumsiest and yet most depressing lines I've ever heard. You look so broken when you cry. We talked a bit in the last video about how, you know, songs like Oliver Twist by Ardy, they were good pick-me-ups in a year that, you know, for a lot of us was pretty shit.
Mm-hmm.
But if you wanted to wallow in how shit the year was, and not like in a transcendently sad way, but in a mind-numbingly boring and depressing way.
Because that's what the sadness of the year was actually like.
Yeah. I can't think of a better song than fucking Heat Waves. But as much as I want to forget this year, I want to forget that song. Your number 4.
My number 4. It's another gentleman who, if I'm honest, this is not the stupidest or worst or my least favourite thing. Well, maybe it's a contender. But he's definitely done stupider than this. But
I know who this is.
This fella, again, I don't like him, and he needs to be brought down a peg on and I can't stress this enough, the most minor YouTube channel you could possibly find. But if you are listening, Drake, fuck you, man. It's Girls Want Girls by Drake.
Whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hey, staring at your dress cause it's see-through. Yeah, talking all the shit that you done been through. Yeah, say that you a lesbian, girl, me too. Hey.
This one is a good example of the thing I've written down. The thing I wrote down when it came on was his most boring beat yet? ? I mean,
yeah, arguably.
Every time he puts out a new song that becomes a hit, I'm just stunned by how boring it is, and yet it just charts. I don't understand. How?
Well, this song only became a hit on meme potential,
yeah, of course.
On meme level.
And now this is the thing, like, at least before, he was a meme in terms of I'm going to be British for a bit.
That doesn't offend me particularly. You know, it's really daft.
Now he's just like, all right, I'll just say some, like, really quite problematic things about gay people. And that's going to be the hook.
It's a fucking dad joke pickup line. It's nothing. It's not his joke. It's been done before. It's not really a joke. The line being...
Yeah, say that you a lesbian, girl, me too. Hey.
No! God, please, no! No!
Yeah, that's what I want to do, is I just want to turn it off and say no. However, there's one saving grace, and that is that Drake usually pops up multiple times. I think we've established that Drake has probably, I think it's fair to say, had at least one song, and usually more than one song, in the top 100 for the last decade, I think.
It feels like it. There must have been a year off somewhere, but it does feel like it.
But this year, he had a full-length record, proper record out, not a weird random side project that he called a playlist or a hard drive that he found in a skip or something like that. And only one song charted. So maybe Drake's going to peter out soon. Maybe, please. Or stop putting some fucking effort in again.
Drake is bad and boring, yes. Ed Sheeran is bad and boring. That's our number 4's done.
My number 3, I feel worse about this because I don't necessarily dislike this guy. You're probably going to give me a reason that I should and that he's really cancelled that I wasn't aware of. But generally, he's very hated. But I think some people just get hated because they're really popular on the internet. It's not necessarily a good reason to hate somebody. However, if we're ranking songs that I enjoyed the least, this one has to be below the previous 2. I really, really, really hated it. And I feel a bit bad because in a way it smacks of somebody who's actually trying and just really, really bad, which makes me kind of sad and makes me kind of mad. I'll stop rhyming. It's Holiday by KSI.
I know, yeah. It's Holiday by KSI, of course it is.
I wanna wake up every morning feeling better, cause I know you're sleeping by my side. And every moment we're together, I remember just to keep it all for you and I.
To me, honestly, the first time I heard about him was when he started making music. I had no idea who he was before that. I was just told, this very famous YouTuber, after having his brief boxing career, is now starting a presumably brief music career. But he seems to be doing well because he's had a few high-profile features now, and then an actual proper, top 5 hit with Holiday.
Considering, ploddy is what I'd refer to it as. That's
Ploddy
what I wrote
is
down.
correct,
It just
yeah.
plods like fuck. And actually, it's quite appropriate in a way because in a year, what I think he was going for was like, I'll do a song about holidays because nobody can go on holiday this year. And that'll like do well because people want to go on holiday. But actually, what it screams of is the disappointing holiday that you try to have, despite the fact that you can't go on holiday. Like that's what it feels like. The holiday, everyone's like, oh yeah, we had a good time. We went to Bognor Regis and yeah, rain the whole time. And like, yeah, we like, it was really cold and the tent flooded. But yeah, it was so nice to use up all the annual leave I've been hoarding for last year.
You're absolutely spot on.
That's the song.
I wanna do this for the rest of my life.
Disgusting!
Cool.
I think we're done with Holiday.
Yeah, I mean, that sums it up though, because the song is just so bloody boring and monotonous that it's all fucking same. Unlike my number 3 pick, which is a hot mess of a song. And it's by an artist who I'm been dimly familiar with. They've been one of those artists. Well, actually, they had the record for the most hits in the top 75 outside, but never having got a top 10 hit until they eventually did get one. Not with this song, actually, I don't think. But they're a hip-hop duo that have been around for quite a while called D Block Europe. Don't know if you're familiar with them.
No.
And this song features
Sounds
the
like
artist.
A political stance.
It does, doesn't it? It does. We're the D Block, Democratic Bloc Europe. And this song features an artist called Ray, who had quite a eventful year where she basically had a very public spat with her record label, who were basically seemed to be holding her debut album hostage. She's now split with the label and gone independent. So good on Ray, but bad on Ray for contributing to this horrible train wreck of a song called Ferrari Horses.
Big freaks.
Yeah, that's it. Cool. Yeah. About to date my lady Selfridges. New drip on the way, Rap nigga still selling bricks. Half a cake on the way,
Do you remember it?
Something surprising.
What's this?
Quite liked it.
You quite liked it?
I think I gave it a 7, maybe.
No, why?
I
defend it first.
I can't remember it that well, but I seem to remember I just quite liked the vibe.
Okay, well, here is the melody that runs through the whole thing. You ready? I'll do the first line.
Yeah.
There's a key, but it's him and Lady Selfridges, new drip on the way, which is one of the weirdest and clumsiest and lazy sounding like melody lines. It could work, but it over and over again.
Sounds a bit like ABBA in a way.
No. Could work, but over and over again, it just quickly starts grate on you. Now, Ray is a great singer. Can't hold it against Ray. I don't think they wrote the lines knowing that they would have a featured artist singing them. I don't think Ray wrote the line 22, I'm in Paris, baby. Got a stripper's tits in my face.
22, I'm in Paris, baby. Got strippers.
But maybe she did. Maybe she did. It does sound weird coming out of her voice as like a pop singer, but you know, I'm not going to make any rash assumptions. But Ray's a great singer. Do you know who isn't a great singer? Either member of D Block Europe. In fact, they're bloody awful. I mean, they are rappers, but they're rappers in the auto-tune sing rap style of rap.
Mhm.
And I don't know their names, but they're both abysmal. In particular, the one who comes in just after Ray's bit on the first verse, with a really, like, you'll hear it, like a really octave-upped bit.
Horses here, cocaine, scope, and ski. Yeah, all of this ice we freeze. And my new home on page 3.
But then it's at that moment the song just takes a turn for the what the fuck, because then Ray comes back in, but the whole beat, which by the way is this complete mess of a flute thing, just completely drops out, and Ray just sort of solos, and you think, oh, it's just going to be like a mic drop line, and it just carries on. She just carries on doing the over the just nothing, and you're just there like, did the track stop? Are we going? And then it just comes back out of nowhere, just like, oh, and now it's here for the hook, cool. And does it again a second time later on in the song as well. It's not just a one-off. This was like a great idea they had. But then finally the closing verse from another member of D Block Europe, which has my personal choice of the worst lyric of the song in it. I'm sipping the medicine, ain't got no flu. And you're like, okay, I know what he's talking about. But clearly he wasn't sure you knew what he was talking about, but he then followed it up with, I'm high off prescription drugs.
No, he literally just says that.
I'm sipping on medicine, ain't got no flu, I'm half prescription drugs.
It is because it's so bad that it comes around to being enjoyable again. It's got Black Eyed Peas energy in that sense of just being such a disaster of a song that that I can't help but admire it in a way. It is dumb. But well done, D Block Europe, for finally getting a top 10 hit this year. So
Well, we're moving on to my number 2.
oh my god, we're rocketing through them.
We really are. Now, this one is a cover, and I felt a bit weird about putting a cover on my list. But look, sometimes something just hits you as so egregiously horrible that you just got to go with your heart. Now, this is a band that I already had some feelings about because you and I watched Eurovision together.
We did.
Quite a fateful evening, and the less said about it, the better. But we watched Eurovision together, and neither of us were particularly keen on the winners, who were the Italian band.
Yeah.
I was
going to say, I'm excited to hear how you're going to pronounce it.
How is it pronounced?
It's I think Manneskin.
The song of theirs that I decided to put on the list, because they had two, was not their original. It was the cover of the song Begging.
When I'm begging, cause I don't wanna lose you. Hey, yeah, cause I'm begging you.
Who's the original by?
Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons.
Yes, a classic song. Now, you know, I've talked on this show about this before. I have a thing for like really horrible voices. Like it's just a really instant turn off for me.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. This song has the worst vocals of any song I've heard this year. Like there's a real trend at the moment of like Lewis Capaldi's core, which is where you just strain, just like like really just try and burst a blood vessel in the vocal booth. The
constipate voice.
Yeah, exactly.
Call it what it is.
This performance takes it to the next level. The beginning of this song is absolutely ridiculous. It's like
it's also a cappella, by the way. It's like, oh, we need to hear these vocals isolated.
Yeah.
Put your loving hand out, baby, 'cause I'm begging.
So the vocals themselves are awful. And then the instrumental comes in. Genuinely, it sounds like I was in a band when I was in year 5, we were called Blue Fire, and we had another song called We Just Got a Talent for Breaking the Rules. It sounds like that. That's what it fucking sounds like. It's just the most rudimentary. Like, I've got some primary school students who are learning grade 2 guitar and drums and bass and stuck them in a recording booth, and they've plucked out this shit.
It is, as you say, so basic, but just unlistenable. I just don't understand how anyone can get past the vocals. But I thought that about Lewis Capaldi, and he was one of the biggest artists of 2019. So what the fuck do I know? People just like the constipated voice. And I will say this, and I think this is genuinely a huge part of it. I mean, Damiano David, the lead singer, he is drop dead gorgeous. No getting away from that. He's a hot guy. He's so hot that my lesbian friend fancies him.
Fair. I mean, yeah, maybe that does count for something.
My number 2 is an interesting one. This one is one of the most sort of egregious entries on the chart because it sounds like something from about 6 years ago. Right down to the fact that it's a boy-girl duet, which, like, about 6 years ago we had Let's Marvin Gaye and Get It On and all those kind of like boy-girl duet vibes. You heard them a lot. Now when you hear them, they tend to be sleekier and sexier. Like, I'm thinking the Sam Smith and Normani song, not boy girl, non-binary girl, but you know what I mean. Beautiful. But this one, it sounds like a cut off from 6 years ago. It's so odd, so bizarre. I don't know why it was made or why it was a hit. But what does set it apart is having one of the worst opening lines of any song I've heard in history, which cemented its place on the list alone. But the rest of the song was bad enough that it came second in the end. The song is called Let's Go Home Together. And it's by Ella Henderson, if you remember her, and Tom Grennan.
I never have given you a second look, but I like the way you don't give a damn.
Flora Jackson. That's my number 1.
I never have given you a second look.
Yes!
I
you have
hated
taste.
This song.
You have taste. Oh my God. Well, let's just start with that opening line. I'd never have given you a second look, but I like the way you don't give a...
Damn! Well, I think the next one's worse because...
Yeah, because they do the joke twice, by the way.
Yeah.
They do the joke again. In the second verse, Tom Grennan this time sings this one. Even though you talk way too fast, I can't stop looking at your
eyes. Oh, ha ha ha, pantomime chuckle, the dame falls down, a bucket of water's on their head.
Even though you talk way too fast, I can't stop looking at your eyes.
Absolutely ridiculous.
The thing that gets me about this is, like, that joke, it's not only been done to death in comedy, but, like, we talked a lot about songs that appear on the charts every year. The one song that comes on the charts every single year, the year-end chart, like clockwork, is Mr. Brightside by The Killers. It is indisputably one of the biggest songs in the UK of all time. And that has, for me, the be-all and end-all of that joke. In this otherwise very serious song, we get, now they're going to bed and my stomach is sick and it's all in my head and she's touching his chest now, he takes off that. Like, that's good. Just the way it's set up, the fact that dick is such a funny word to have put in a song, clearly was never going to happen. The whole setup, it works really well. Leave it there. The joke's done. It's over.
It's such a throwback, like the way it's built, that it's got that, like, ding, 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 plucky, 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 la, da, da, ooh, cheeky, cheeky, cheeky.
It sounds horrible as well. The production on the guitar is awful.
I'm so glad that I think that sort of style of, like, kind of Spanishy, plucked, cheeky guitar riff pop is kind of dying now. And this really did feel like, why is this still being made in 2021?
It's Montero's fault. Montero's bringing it back.
No, because Montero's different. Don't bring Montero into this. But I have to add something to your diatribe, which I think...
Oh, I know it. I know what you're going to say.
Elevated it to number 1 for me. It's Mr. Tom Grennan. Tom Grennan, it was a real war of attrition for me because he appears on the charts a few times this year. Tom Grennan had a good year.
He did.
At least 3 songs I think he was featured in, and he really rubbed me up the wrong way every single time. So I knew I was going to chuck him in somewhere, and then this one came on with that fucking line and this awful instrumental. And actually, Ella Henderson's performance is not great.
So here's one for the Vanity Project fans. We have a song called Conquistador. Here's a little clip of it now.
Tell me, is there something else? You can be my answer. I'll be your conquistador. Give me more.
That song went through a lot of drafts. Like, it started as a completely different song called Ayahuasca, with a completely different chorus. But when we settled on the melody for the new chorus, Rob's original lyric was found what I was looking for, which is a fine lyric. I do prefer the new one, but the reason we cut it was because this Tom Grennan fuck, as we were in the studio about to make it,
went, found what I've been looking for, which is not how I sang it in our version.
No, fucking did the same fucking hook though, basically. So we were like, right, well, better start thinking about the fucking Inca Empire. So which brings me on to my number 1. And there was one song which Let's Go Home Together was never going to overtake, because this was my number 1 before listening to the list. It was my number 1 right from the start. I knew it was my number 1 before I listened to the list. I went, nothing's beating that, and it didn't, because it is one of the worst songs I've ever heard in my life. I think it is genuinely it makes me embarrassed to make the same form of art as this artist. I Want to Be Your Slave by Manneskin.
Wanna be a slave, I wanna be a master. I wanna make your heart beat round like roller coasters.
What are you on, young man?
I quite liked it.
What are you on?
Hang on. Do you want to do your diatribe, or do you want to give my defense of the song?
You defend the song first, please.
All right. The song comes on with a slinky, cheeky riff. It's a straight down the line rock song, which I was not expecting. And sure, is it really rudimentary? Does it sound like something that a really quite average indie band that plays the night and day in Manchester could come up with? Yes, it does. But it's still kind of cheeky. It's kind of fun, and I don't really mind it. There's my review.
I wasn't aware that the sort of thing your average indie band that plays night and day in Manchester could ever be used as a compliment. To me, that is the most scathing put down of the song I can imagine. Exactly what it is. It's the vocals following the most boring, rudimentary shit guitar hook over this drum beat. That's fucking it.
It's not. Song. It's got some more driving hi-hats. And
that might be the most annoying riff I've heard in my life. It sounds like a bully bullying you. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. But I have never heard a more 50 Shades of Grey BDSM song than this. It is just the most rudimentary and unsexy bullshit. It's just, I want to be your slave. I want to be your master. So we know he's a switch from the start. I want to make your heartbeat run like roller coasters. I'll let off the bad English. They are Italian.
Yeah.
I want to be a good boy. I want to be a gangster. It's just, the whole thing is just this play of like, ha ha ha. I could be good. I could be bad. Could be. It's Hot and Cold by Katy Perry.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Right. Well, that was the worst of the year. Firstly, we need to give the year a rating.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Which we
difficult.
give out of 1,000 for no reason.
We give out of 1,000 for no reason. It's difficult because there was some absolute gems this year. Like my top 10 even is like one of the best top 10s of the past 10 years. But they were resoundingly the exceptions. So I'm going to go with a middle of the road, 521 out of 1,000.
I agree with you. There were some really good ones, but it doesn't make up for the really bad time I had while listening to this list. Like, I had a bad time. And
That's
do you know
very
what? I feel like this isn't really the year's fault, but I just already knew quite a lot of my favourite ones. So
Yeah,
I didn't
that's
have
fair.
that many surprises. I was like, well, obviously Leave the Door Open's great. Whereas last year I had some really good surprises. So I'm going to give this one 402.
that isn't the end of our time with 2021 because we have one more chore which you must see to. One more leather whip on our back before we can end this miserable year. And that is we have to cover a song. And again, we're doing the covers together. So it's not one of us putting the other in the shit tub. We're both together in this attempt to make a miserably bad song listenable. And my heart says, if I'm being honest, Rob, we're already a mixed gender duo.
No, we can't. I want to Be Your Slave.
I mean, I desperately don't want to do that. That's the one that like would make me sick. I hate it.
All right, we'll do fucking Let's Go Home Together.
Let's do Let's Go Home Together. It's so revolting.
Oh,
but
God.
I feel like we could take the piss out of it. We could take the piss out of it in a good way.
Yeah, okay. I've already got some ideas knocking around my head involving studio laughter, but we'll have fun with that.
Hey, Dan Cranston here, the Vanity Projects manager. Congratulations on making it to the end of an amazing video. Why don't you reward yourself by subscribing here or watching another video here? And why don't you reward me by lending me like £50 to £100? Please?
That's fucking disgusting!